panelists for being here. This is an important topic for us to be really bringing to the forefront of kind of today's conversations, and quite frankly, the onslaught of media that we see every single day. And when you look at the Monroe Doctrine, our dominance in the Western Hemisphere, that is seen in the context of borders and boundaries. But now with the cyber and the AI landscapes, that would also include those boundaries and those borders. And so as we look to our capabilities, clearly, Mr. Bagley, we need a great defense, threat hunting, and all the such. But when you look at the Typhoon clusters, we now are going to have to go on offense. We have to make the pain points significant for our adversaries to understand that if you breach the Monroe Doctrine, that if you break our hemisphere, our borders, our boundaries, there will be a price. Mr. Lynn, I want to start with the current state of play. Today, offensive cyber capabilities exist across multiple parts of the U.S. government under different authorities like Title 10 and 50, with varying degrees of integration with the private sector. As we look ahead, as the U.S. government considers a more forward-leaning posture in cyberspace, what actually exists today in terms of offensive cyber capability? Who currently has the authority to employ it? And what are the most important questions Congress should be prioritizing right now if we are to consider whether and how the private sector could be empowered to play a more direct role in offensive or cost-imposing cyber operations?
Thank you, Chairman. I'll answer your question in two ways. Number one is around authorities. I think it's important and critical that, as some of my co-panelists have said, that we are cooperating hand in hand with the authority holders of Title 10 and Title 50. But it's important to remember that DHS, CISA have authorities of their own that ought to be used as well and used aggressively here. We're talking about Title 18, we're talking about Title 14, right? And so the ability to use law enforcement authorities in combination, in concert with Title 10 and Title 50 is absolutely critical. But number two, I think what needs to shift here is a mindset, not just around doing episodic one-off operations of disruption, which are important and critical and can be successful, have been proven to be successful, much like the KV botnet takedown that the FBI led recently. But what does it take to match the speed and scale of our adversaries, to match the scope of what it is that they are conducting against us? One-off episodic operations, while important for deterrence, will never be enough to change the cost calculus of our adversaries.
Ms. Harding, recent reporting indicates that a PRC-linked cyber actor commonly referred to as Salt Typhoon targeted system supporting congressional committees. This was not a private company or an executive agency. It was the legislative branch of the U.S. government. From a strategic standpoint, what message does it send when a nation state is willing to target Congress directly? And should this committee view that as a clear evidence that current approach to deterrence in cyberspace is insufficient?
In a word, yes. I would want to draw a distinction, however, between an intelligence operation and a disruptive operation. As a former intelligence officer myself, I have to sort of tip my hat to Salt Typhoon. They have been very clever, very talented. They have proven just how good China is at its current cyber activities. Going after congressional staff from an intelligence perspective is a logical target. In my last role on the Senate Intelligence Committee, we frequently gave defensive briefings to our fellow staff and to members of Congress to explain just how much they would be targeted and how sophisticated the adversaries were who were coming after them. Ideally, yes, you'd be able to establish deterrence in an intelligent sense, and you'd be able to say, okay, if you penetrate our networks, then you will feel consequences for that. It also is sort of a normal spy versus spy, tit for tat. A very clear distinction, however, is between the Salt Typhoon kind of activity and the Volt Typhoon kind of activity. There is zero intelligence value in penetrating water networks, power networks, especially around military bases. That is there for one reason and one reason only: to disrupt the United States military in the case that we had to deploy suddenly. If there were to be a Pacific contingency, a 6-hour delay, an 8-hour delay, a 12-hour delay could be definitive. And if sailors can't get to their ships, if you can't load the ships full of equipment, then that is a 6-hour delay, an 8-hour delay, a 12-hour delay. It's a smart act for, I think, a potential adversary to take, but it is one we may not allow. We have to be able to deter that kind of activity and strike back.
Thank you. I now recognize